There's two. Oh, sorry. How long have we got? 5 minutes. There's two things. There's no substitute for being good. And yes, absolutely, there are marketing directors out there that will just buy stuff by the volume and not very good. But I mean, we mentioned Orange Playlist, I think, earlier on.
And indeed, they've mentioned it on there.
And indeed, they mentioned it on there. We're probably being streamed, and Peter's going to hate me saying this, but Orange Playlist was commissioned by ITV. I worked with it as well, and it was stuck into the graveyard slot, and it didn't have the backing of the broadcaster. It definitely had the backing of Orange. But then if you look at something like T-Mobile Transmission, which isn't an Endemol show, it got a much better slot, much better ratings, and so on. And these are all kind of following on the line of things like Pepsi Chart Show, which just used a loophole in the way that programmes are made in order to get a headline sponsor. But Pepsi Chart Show was a good show. For whatever reason, Orange Playlist hasn't succeeded. T-Mobile Transmission is a good show, and those things do shine through. So I don't think you get to be as a sort of grey suit buying by volume large chunks of stuff without the good stuff shining through.
But is it more risk averse now? Because actually, for commissioners, just going out there skimming content that already exists.
I think there are two different markets, though, aren't there? I mean, to come back to games, you have the epic games that cost $20 million, and of course you need a commissioner, because you need somebody to invest $20 million, and then another $10 million of marketing. But what I think is exciting is more of the indie scene, and I think we're talking about the indie scene, and it doesn't in any way it's not detrimental to the mainstream, but it's the ability for people to come into the indie scene without a barrier to entry. I think that's the key to it. So there's no reason why the two shouldn't coexist at all.
And what is exciting is that story is key in that case. So the idea is the most important thing, whether it's on games, whether it's on film, whether it's on TV. And then the question is, you don't want to sell your soul and make a rubbish game out of a really good TV show if that doesn't work. But you have to find the platform that's for that specific idea.
There's a difficulty as well that Endemol's been struggling with since I started work with him in 2000, which was, do you go straight to the customer? And there's I know everyone has some difficulties with distributors and commissioners and broadcasters and people who commission you, and you don't always get on, and you have fights, and you think, well, bugger it, I'll just go straight to the customer. But the problem is you do then get into, not only the 20 million budget, but the 10 million marketing. You're then in the marketing game, and you've got to do sales, and you've got to do customer support, and you've got to do billing. And there's a whole set of other skills that, as a creative, you may not want to have to do. And my belief actually isn't that we should, as creatives and producers, be moving from business to consumer. I think we just need to be educating those distributors better, whether that's by working behind the scenes, or whether it's by going and parachuting behind the lines for a bit, or just by battering the doors and just sort of saying, look, we need to know to a certain extent, you need to know the distributor's business better than they do in order to help them through the business challenges that they've got.
Do you think that would help you make more money?
Well, I think that's been really important for us, because I was saying we did go and try and sell the film ourselves, distribute it ourselves, and what's has given us is an understanding of what's required.
Yeah.
And so we decided we wanted to do a big website. Well, when we started to do it, we realized we didn't know anything about websites. Then we got someone in who's got 5 years experience just researching, how easy it is to click a button on a website. And that's the thing, when you start to investigate it for yourself, you start to realize what you need and how you need it and how it can be most effectively used. And maybe find the right people to work with you.
I think so. I mean,
will you make
more money out of that? Well, I think it's probably useful to think of it as in two stages, which is that you've got the sort of prototyping stage. If you knock on the doors of a distributor and they just don't get what you do, then you want to put it out into an area where you can demonstrate that it has some kind of leverage. But don't expect it to be competing with something that Sony is putting 10, 20 million behind. What you can do, though, is you can grow a very specific audience, understand that audience, and then take it to the distributor and say, look, we've got this far, we know we're doing this, now we want you to put the marketing behind it. But I do think it's a mistake for any creatives to start to get into the world of becoming marketeers, because it's the wrong business, wrong kind of limits.
Effectively, with Peter and the Wolf, that's what we did. No one knew how to sell it. We had sales agents and distributors, and we said, look, you're not selling this, it's going to sell, it's a mainstream thing, we can do it. So we went out and we sold a couple of territories, and we sold it directly to orchestras. And now, on the back of that, they know how to sell it.
Perfect.
And they're going and doing it.
Teaching them how to do their job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wish we didn't have to, but in that case.
But then, I mean, it's a very new business.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just being told to cut my throat. I apologise for being so bad. I'd like to
It's like the burgers of Calais, isn't it?
Oh, the lovely burgers in Calais. All fresh meat in France. I'd like to thank Charles, Tamsin and Morgan. We are doing a breakout session after this, aren't we? Yes. So, if you could